Hey everyone, my name is Addy, and this is a redesign I done of Reanimal using Yuso's new creature sound library. So we picked this clip here, and we went through the library, picked sounds that we liked, um, designed them around the creature that's in this video. My goal was to process the stuff as little as possible, or at least just have some design elements here and there to add some weight to the creature. But generally, I think I wanted to showcase the library in its true form. We used a few techniques here and there, either to make more source or to just design some of the sounds, so we'll run through that. But first things first, let's showcase the design. Alrighty. Well, this is something I whipped up pretty quickly. I found it quite easy to use the library. There's a lot of really creative and fantastic recordings. They're cleaned up very well, meaning that I could slow this stuff down a ridiculous amount and just use it as is. Some of the stuff I slowed down and didn't even clean up because they were good enough to use in a design. Some other stuff I did process just because I wanted to bring out a bunch of bass or a bit more impact, or I needed some texture layers, so I generated those, and I'll walk through that after we walk through the design. For the purposes of this video, I split up the design into the different, not elements, but like just parts. Like there's a first call, there's a second call, there's some purring. The creature looks around a little bit, some purring again, and then this big alert thing, which I just kind of went all out on. Right, so let's break down this first call section. So, by the way, as you can see, I do have some aux sends, I have a reverb and delay. I'm just using some altiverb and recirculate as a delay, just to ground it a little bit in the environment. I also did some pretty quick panning. Nothing fantastic, but just enough to get the message across. So yeah, we have this like inhale element here, which is just, again, slowed down out of the box, didn't really clean it up. With some pan. So it's just these like long, it's just these long elements here. And if you just speed them up to like sort of where they are, so acts as a really nice breathy layer. We have some of this clicky stuff, and this is again just some of the sounds from the library that I put into Faceplant. I made a patch that I could basically just generate like long textures. So now that I have this like texture bed, it allows me to sort of scatter it around the design how I want. And I'm not limited to just the recording. I have like a bit more of a busy bed to use. It works nice for other things as well. I made it polyphonic, so you can like play a chord and you can get like a lower octave, the normal octave, and a higher octave, and then it just kind of expands it a little bit. Right, then we have some of these like liquid bubbles. Really cool. Again, slow down an obscene amount, and if we just play it like normally how it was, something like this, even faster. And we can slow it down to that with no processing. Like it's just cool. Sounds really good. Then we have some of these more, again, just clicky layers. I don't think I did anything. It was just like processed a little bit, slow it down. Yeah, nice crunchy inside the mouth layers that we used. We got this screech. Again, just to not processed or anything, but just adds a bit, makes the design sound a bit more full. Like, and then we got some of these processed layers here, just to add heft and make it sound big and scary. So we took some of these like slime guttural bursts, and I processed them quite a bit and gave them some oomph. And similar with these like paper friction. And this is basically just like driver, like Native Instruments driver, a lot of compression, some uber loud, a little bit of cleanup because we're really pushing it with the compression. So, and I'll show after. Almost have like a hydro element there with the bass lead off, and then more clicky layers. And yeah, this is like the peak follower script here is what I used. So this one, I think if you just search peak follower, yeah, MPL peak follower. So what you do is that you select the file that you want, more specifically the sort of time region, like this, and you generate the script, and it'll basically generate you a envelope like this here, and you can use this for whatever. Like it's just an envelope, so you can assign it to a parameter in a plugin. You can assign it to the volume, and I used it here for the volume because I wanted the file below to follow the sort of yeah, envelope of the item above. So we have this sort of rhythm, and we got this, and together they sound like this. So now we have two layers that are matching. And you can do this with other ways. Like you can do the audio follower with the parameter modulation. So like you send on the audio from this here to track 3/4, and then you assign that to a parameter here. Like for example here, if I move that and then I go parameter modulation, I do audio control signal, then like 3/4 for example, then you can get it to follow like that. But it's really finicky, and I don't know, I think I'd much rather have an envelope now that I know about it. It makes it a lot more sort of secure in its performance. You know exactly what's going to happen. If you change the file above, you have to go in and start changing all the parameters again, so it works like how you want. While this is just like, it's going to do this every time, no matter what. You can go here and mess around with like where the bass line is as well. So I can like make it louder, and I can also affect the amplitude, so I can go either reverse or more extreme. But it works well for this, in this case at least it works well as is. So let's move on to the second call. So here we have a lot more clicky stuff, and again, like these are just out of the box, fantastic. Out of the box again. Let's listen to these two. So more of this clicky stuff. One thing I wanted to try to do with this creature was have like the front facing elements and the sort of body elements. So thinking of this fluffy worm as sort of like, that's where the clicky sounds are sort of coming out of, while the rest of the bass stuff is sort of resonating from the body. So for example here, we have the body layer here and the mouth layer there. That's more clicky, and then yeah, the breathy layers as well. Something coming from the mouth, and then maybe something coming from the throat, if it even has a throat. But I don't know. We just use our imagination. um. Okay, and then that's just yeah, texture layers, and then we have more clicks. And then more of this. So, the nice thing about this stuff is Yuso's explained very clearly like what's happening with each recording. He says specifically what it is, like a bowed notebook. So I know exactly what that is, which allows me to go and also record this stuff, with knowing what the source is, which is nice. So one thing about creature libraries, which I think are really important, is the performative aspect of it. There's the performance in a lot of these files is great, but obviously if you want more, you know what it is, so you can go and record it yourself. And I think the point of getting a lot of these sound libraries is becoming sort of motivated and inspired by them, so you can go and do what you want with the knowledge. And so this is great. It's a really fantastic starting point, and knowing the sort of process that Yuso went to get this together is also really inspiring. Kind of makes me want to go and record everything he did, just to sort of experience it myself and gain that knowledge for myself and experiment with the different mic perspectives and different materials. But yeah, my point was performative elements are really important. Like a lot of this clicky stuff is great, how you can like shape it, but you need these tonal sort of elements as well that you can use to, for efforts, for example. Like here, there's an effort push. So that's without it. Works still, but now with this layer, works even better. So yeah, that stuff's really important. So then we have, similar to sort of with the other coal, we have these like processed layers that I made that are like these heavy farty snorts, which are great. And similar like with this, processed growls. Yeah, they work great. Especially like here, for example, just these two. Nice little effort. And then we have this sort of end to that sequence that leads on to the next one. And sorry, this is just more paper friction. Distorted, processed. But I like for this, this sort of like lead up works nicely as a layer. And yeah, this is just more clicky slime. A lot of really interesting textures there. Really great stuff. And then we have this like purring section. So we're doing the peak follower thing again. And again with another sort of build up before there's a short silence in the third call. But I think, yeah, I use this file for the peak follower, and then I put it here, and here I just edited the baseline and amplitude a little bit to get it a bit more extreme. We have this sort of build up here, more clicky, paired with the breath. And then we have another like processed base layer. Again, for the body of the creature, as well as I mentioned those faceplant layers that I did. I also morphed some of them together to get like more source, I guess. So we're left with these like disgusting mouth layers that work great. So yeah, so we go from So here we have a look around, which is split into sort of two actions. So we got, so yeah, again, an emotive layer, the clickies, the guttural bass layer, and then same thing again. A little bit shorter and more, a bit of an inhale here again. I'm not following exactly what's happening. I'm doing like the big brush movements right now for this redesign. Again, I whipped this up pretty quickly, which is a testament to Yuso's work, honestly. I found it really easy to use this library. Especially for something like this, abstract as this. It's fantastic. Right, so then we have that purring again here. So a bit of a different approach from the last purring. We do have a base layer that's a bit more pronounced. We have the air layer, but this time we have the sort of chirpy aspect of it. And so we introduced this like little weird layer, which is great. Really cool bubbles. Duck whistle slime bubbles were great. Friction and this almost like wood layer. So you'll see I do this like pitch drop or increase a lot of the time, and it is in it on itself, it's like, you know, maybe it doesn't work, but in context it works because you have layers coming up and layers coming down, so they kind of intertwine. I find it to work quite well. But yeah, anyways, that's sort of the design aspect of it. Oh, sorry, we have the big surprise. So I kind of combined everything here. Like we have the big impacts again, like the processed impacts that I've done. Really over the top, expressive, resonant, and then more of these elements again. Like there's some pitch stuff here, like expression. We have some of the face plant granular stuff I done, and the big screech layer. And then I tried something here. I just took one of the sort of layers and drenched it in reverb to just as like a distant roomy thing. You can hear it a bit at the end. Just complements the reverb of the room. I think it's nice having some baked in thing as well. But yeah, that's all the layers. So let's quickly go through some of the processing. So one thing we done and I talked about was this faceplant patch. It's really simple, just the granular engine with two random LFOs, one of which is driving the semi-scent and phase, and another one that's driving the sort of like where it's scanning. We are like how do you call it? We are scanning the whole region, but where it starts is dictated by this thing here, so we're automating that. You can change the amount of grains that you want, or how short you want the envelope to be, or like how short you want the envelope to be. Yeah, so what you can do is you can also just come in here and sort of mess around with where you want things to be triggered from. So we can do like a lot higher, for example. And then that'll change how it how it sounds. And yeah, it is a bit of a trial and error, like putting stuff in and out of this sampler to see what how it sounds, and you can just have it play and like generate a bunch of stuff. So I did that. This. So yeah, you have those things. And then from there, you can, for example, take these layers and morph them together. It won't always work, but maybe you get some interesting stuff out of it. So like, you don't have to use morph. I used an aptic morph. You can use something else. There's plenty of options. There's the Melda one. And yeah, there's a bunch of others. So for example, so you can get some like interesting parts. Oh, sorry. Again, it's more source. Why not? Just have a little play. I processed some of these. I didn't use the process versions, I don't think. Yeah, really harsh, clicky layers, but sometimes that's what you need. In terms of processing, the distortion stuff, yeah, it's a lot of driver. I'm using some snappy patches, just like presets. Nothing too extreme. I'm using some chorus for some stereo width, and yeah, obviously the OTT or uber loud or whatever. Similar with some of these, just like normally processed. I mentioned I used like I think I mentioned like distressor, so you can push this to get some nice saturation out of it. This is just the soft tube one. There's plenty of options out there for different ones. Using some entropy as well. This just like brings out either the tonal or transient aspects of stuff. So that works well. Some subtle ratio MB. Really subtle. I think like once you're processing stuff so heavily, you have to clean it up, especially if you're compressing it like several times over. And then yeah, like some uber loud, unveil. You can even use unfilter if you want to slow it down even more. And then just like also this helps a lot. This is a multi-band expansion trick, so if you don't want to clean up the whole range of the spectrum, you can basically use this gating technique that expands the band when there's sound coming in, and then brings it down when there's like between, for example, like in between here. Maybe that's a bit too short of an example, but if there's frequency coming in there, then it will come up. If there's nothing there, it's going to bring it down. So for example, if there's only noise left, it's going to duck that. So for something like this, it kind of comes across a bit more because yeah, you can see that there's more breath points in between the file. Yeah, as I said, like I took like all of these sounds and I sort of did like there's the raw. Let me find a better example. Like here, like this. There's the raw asset. There's like the slowed down processed one, and then there's the distorted. So then I had like 3 options of the same sound. If I wanted to, I could layer some of it together to get like an even bigger one. And same. And then distorted. So we have a bunch to play with, and like you're free to, once you've done this and build a bit of a library from the source, you're free to go in and layer it how you want and do what you want. So we have like these bubbles and slow down a bunch. again, once you once you slow down stuff this amount and compress it like that, there's going to be either you start feeling the room a bit, or there's just going to be like some noise. And again, that could be an issue with my processing. Again, in the design, if you just take parts of it, it might be okay. So again, this is what I mean, by the way, when I say that I'm going to use this library for not just creatures. So we have this. And with enough processing, you can bring it there. And then again, that's just like compression, some like screamer distortion. So fun times. So just to go over that point again about not just using this for creature sound libraries, it is advertised that way, but there's so much interesting recordings in here, a lot of cool friction things and bubbling and airflow and you know, interesting building blocks that are, you know, with the correct processing, that could be something else. That could be a sci-fi element for anything. Some of this air blowing stuff could be transformed into some interesting atmosphere. The clicky stuff as well, with enough reverb, could be used for an interesting ambience layer. There's enough elements in here that also have cool rhythmic aspects to them, so that could be used for some abstract design or something really dark. And also, like, with some of my design, like some of my processing here, some of the stuff leans into the more like sci-fi realm as well, especially with enough like distortion. You know, that stuff, there's a lot of resonance in a lot of these recordings. If you bring it out, it could be really interesting element of a design, a layer in something bigger. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, a lot. There's a lot here. Honestly, there's so much to play with. It's quite exciting. And like I said, the metadata in the actual files themselves are really good, and definitely enough to inspire you or direct you in your own recording session. So yeah, use this as a motivation to go out there and record something yourself as well. Because why not? You don't need any crazy gear. Definitely watch some of Yuso's behind the scenes stuff. It's really inspiring. One thing I liked a lot was the plastic glove on cardboard. I thought it sounded so cool. I'll definitely be using that for something. Yeah, so a lot of really, really great stuff here. I hope everything was clear. Yeah, I just you can have a lot of fun with this library. Like, just process it in different ways, build up a bit of a library, and then even you saw from my design, like a lot of the stuff I'm just using out the box from the library. Like, it's just really, really great recordings. Yeah, I hope that was clear. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. Definitely want to keep an eye out for. And yeah, hope you enjoyed, and bye.